From the latest on the old Naval Hospital to her 1 year in office, I sit down exclusively with Charleston County Councilwoman Jenny Honeycutt for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and download my free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Councilwoman Jenny Honeycutt, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Quintin, it's great to be with you again.
You too. How is everything now since you've been a councilwoman for Charleston County Council?
You know, it's been a year full of learning. The job is extremely rewarding, but it comes with some great challenges. But I've learned a lot in the process, so it's been a lot of fun.
Been a lot of fun. I want to take you to some developing news because this was an article in the Post-Courier recently, and it talks about the former Charleston Naval Hospital.
Yeah.
And it reads this: the former Charleston Naval Hospital could be renovated as a housing high-rise if a local company known for renovating historic buildings completes a purchase deal with the county's plan. It's been 7 months since Wacko Development proposed buying the 10-story hospital building and the 23rd-acre property it sits upon from Charleston County. Company principal William Coxwell Jr. said an agreement is now, quote, very close. How is Charleston County Council getting ready for this agreement?
I tell you what, Quintin, this is probably the perfect example of all that I've learned, because sometimes for the public and me, government can seem to run really slow. And you think, my goodness, why is it taking so long to get something done? But as you may recall, back when I took office in January, the plan was to tear the Naval Hospital down. And that is a very large structure. It's a federal building, so it meets very high standards.
Sure.
And we kept looking at it, wondering if there was a way to salvage it and meet our current need. We have the Charleston Center downtown that serves an extremely important population in our community, and we need a home for them that will meet the long-term needs of our community. And so what we decided to do was to try to recover some of what was lost in the Naval Hospital by selling it, and then provide another space for our need. And I can't discuss all the details just yet, but the time it has taken to develop this has yielded what I think will be an absolutely phenomenal result for Charleston. Because another factor in all of that is that we have the BRT running through that intersection. So we've got a new library right there. We're going to have a new housing building. We're going to bring in our critical need that we need met. And so we've got a lot of boxes we can check, and it can really be a phenomenal development, so I'm excited.
And Coxwell went on to say this, that his company, as you all talked about, has no plans to tear down the building. Efforts to redevelop the building began in 2012 when North Charleston bought the property and a federal government auctioned for $2 million. A subsequent redevelopment plan that aimed to turn 3 floors of the building into a new home for county services, social services, failed dramatically, according to the Post-Courier. And it cost Charleston County more than $35 million. Okay, now that there are no plans to tear down the building, when will the county revise its redevelopment plan?
So that's what we're working on right now.
Okay.
But there are a lot of moving parts.
Sure.
And again, one of the reasons that sometimes the pace of government seems slow is you're trying to iron out all of those things and meet the needs of the community. Because one thing we definitely don't want to happen is bring in this incredible development opportunity while displacing all of those who live there right now. And so we have to be very sensitive to the community and their needs, as well as meeting the needs of the future going forward.
Going forward, you talk about obviously a community. Will Charleston County Council and the Charleston County government be able to sit down with the community and have some sort of listening session?
Absolutely, and we have done that in the past. You'll recall earlier this year, we brought in the Urban Land Institute, and we had some charrettes to discuss what could be done in that area. And so absolutely, discussion with the public is a very important part of all this.
And I know that obviously the county is now considering constructing a new building for those services across Rivers Avenue from the Naval Hospital property on what it used to be the Shipwatch Square Shopping Center. How much would the county put up for that?
Actually, again, this is part of all those working pieces, but there may be a way to get that in conjunction with the sale of the hospital. So we're still working all that out.
And I know Councilor Herb Sass, who's been involved in negotiation with State Representative Cogswell, basically says there are still all sorts of issues with the building. What issues particularly concern you right now?
Well, this is why we really felt like it was important to give it to a private developer who could find the means to preserve that entire structure for years to come. Again, it's an incredible resource. I mean, it's the largest building in that area by far, and it could serve as a catalyst for the transit-oriented development in that area. And so we felt like that was really important, but really that's not the business of government. We aren't in the business of development. And so we needed a private entity, a private partner to come in that can handle that. And WECO has done a phenomenal job with their architects developing a plan that would turn that building into a great, again, catalyst for the transit-oriented development there.
And William Cogswell also told the Post-Score this quote, I'm really hoping we can prove a lot of points to all in the smart growth planning sessions. What more do you want to hear from those planning sessions?
Well, again, we want to hear that they're going to meet community needs. So will there be workforce housing available in that area? How are they going to make that work economically? And then just, again, for the entire layout, we have other community services, DSS, Vital Records, the library next door, the actual transit stop for the BRT. So again, lots of moving parts, and we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Where in your mind would other social services move within the county?
Well, we have a lot of land. As one thing I learned when I came on is I was surprised by how much government owns land.
Sure.
But again, the ideal would be to have it where those services can be most accessible by the people that need it. And so, for instance, right now, traveling to the medical district is very challenging for a lot of people around the county. Our county is very long and spread out. And so we want to put it in an area, which this is a great area because it's so central to the community, is for those people to access it. So ideally, this is a great location. There are other areas, but we want it central. We want it accessible.
And I know the hospital property is obviously in the opportunity zone, which opens the door to federal tax incentives. How many incentives do you hope to get received from this particular federal property?
Well, again, those incentives are for the developer.
Okay.
So they're trying to make the economics of this work. It's going to cost a lot of money to renovate that building. And there were issues with asbestos. There were issues with the mechanical system. But again, private developers know how to make that work. And that's why it's so important that we partner with those who are good at what they do so that the government can do what it needs to do, what it's good at.
And I know in September, the Charleston County Council approved the largest issuance of debt, that is, bonds that would pay for the proposed community services hub. The money hasn't yet been borrowed, according to the Post-Score, but the council approved borrowing up to $59,176,000 for that purpose. How many bonds would the county use for social services?
So this is how we would finance our the construction projects we have going on. And so we do have a lot in the works in terms of improving our facilities so that we can better serve the community. A lot going on around our public services building. And so whatever we need to do to best serve the public is what we will do.
We do. As we sit here right now, it's been a year since you've been in office. What can we expect from Councilwoman Jenny Honeycutt next on County Council?
So we do have some projects that have been in the works for a while, and we're hoping to get those finalized. Again, probably the most important thing I've learned is when we have a project that's going to impact the public for years to come, it is absolutely essential that we listen to everyone and we make sure that we are making the right decision, whatever the priority for that project is, whether it's safety, mobility, connectivity, that we are looking at every aspect and we are listening to all voices. And so while there's some things that haven't moved as quickly as I initially would have thought they should have, I'm learning that it's important to stop and listen and make sure we make the best, most informed decisions we can. So that's what I intend to do in the next year. And
how are we with 526 right now? How fast is that moving in your mind?
We had to go back and do another supplemental NEPA, an environmental assessment.
Sure.
And so, it's moving at the pace it needs to move. Some of these take years and years and years, and I know People have been waiting for a long time, but we have a timeline. You can go to scdotmarkclark.com. You can sign up for emails from the DOT to be kept up to date. We expect by the end of next year, they'll be conducting some public hearings. And again, we have to develop a new proposed alternative. So we either have to craft a new one or find out whether the one we had before is appropriate still based on new traffic models and additional data. And so, that process does take time.
Right.
And that is frustrating to folks. And I know we've waited a long time, but it's really important to get it right because, again, this piece of infrastructure, like many others, will be in place for decades and affect generations to come.
Now, what proposals are ideal in your mind right now?
This is really almost kind of stepping back to square one. The original Alt-G model came off of the James Island connector down near the county park, over the Stono River, hit Johns Island on 2 locations, and then went over to West Ashley where the 526 connection terminates. I don't know if that's still the best alternative from a traffic modeling standpoint, but whatever comes out of it, we will make sure that this project continues to move forward.
And how many traffic models are you guys looking at now?
It's wide open.
Okay.
So they've had to completely start over and make sure that they've analyzed again, there are a lot of feeder roads now that have much heavier traffic. And so they have to look at all of those calculations again.
And what are those feeder roads?
Well, for instance, Riverland Drive is one of those roads that the new connector would kind of come across, and how that would intersect. And so, in coming onto River Road, which areas do we go? They've widened Maybank, so do you hit it twice? Do you hit it? They just have to make all of those determinations again, and again ensure that what the existing traffic and future traffic models are sustainable with whatever alternative we go with.
Now, with those adjustments, how would that increase the price or decrease it in your mind?
Actually, the price is for building this structure that goes from James Island to West Ashley.
Okay.
Now, the nuances of where it comes off doesn't change the fact that you're building this structure. A lot of it bridge work, which is above ground, which is expensive. But again, still kind of the same models. But until you know what you're building, you won't have the exact price tag.
Councilwoman Jenny Honeycutt, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin.
Oh, you're welcome.
Merry Christmas.
Likewise. Yeah.